you know, when you get married, I've always felt strongly that once I got married, that I would only get married once. I would find the one person that I felt like was special enough to me to give my entire life to, and all of this penis. But it's not a whole lot. But it's enough though.
It's enough.
It's enough.
It's alright.
It'll get you there.
It is hot in here.
So just grab a hold of my hand and do it till the morning light.
After I do. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Once again, another exciting episode of After I Do the
Podcast.
Alright, welcome to the show. Here we go. So today's episode, we were talking with friends about their wedding day. And I was actually watching the Steven Jackson podcast. You know Steven Jackson, the basketball player?
No.
He used to play for San Antonio. He and what's the basketball player that played for the Lakers that was married to one of the Govans that has the kids? I can't even remember his name. He goes to the gym.
Oh, I know who you're talking
Okay,
about.
you know
Oh my God. Now you got me.
Oh my goodness.
Matt
Barnes. Thank you.
Jesus.
Okay, so Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson have a podcast together. But Steven Jackson on this podcast, it wasn't even on this podcast. This was just on an IG Live.
Okay.
Was talking about getting married, and 3 months out, he was suggesting to the young lady that he was going to get married to, that he wanted a prenuptial agreement.
Mm-hmm.
And a month out, she said, okay, still hadn't got all the way to the wedding day.
No way.
And this girl still hadn't signed the prenuptial agreement. She made the argument for a certain preacher to come in and do the ceremony.
Yes.
They got married in Port Arthur, Texas, somewhere in Texas where he grew up. And the pastor, his family pastor, was there and available. And she kept fighting for this guy who had to be flown in, who she didn't know, who was friends with somebody, was a suggested pastor. Wow. And the long story short of it all is that this woman got all the way up to the wedding day. He said he spent about between $300,000 and $400,000 on the wedding.
No way.
And she played this dangerous game of chicken with him that went bad because she wasn't willing to sign it, and then he said, you know what, that's it, I'm calling the wedding off.
Wow.
And then, like, their nanny, you know.
Oh, they have a kid?
They had a child together.
Ooh.
And he was looking forward to marry. He's just like, I just need you to sign the prenup.
Right.
So she kept playing the game, didn't sign it, and the nanny was, I think, a friend of his side of the family's.
Yeah.
So the nanny's trying to play peacekeeper, and after he called everything off, he's like, that's it, it's not happening. Mm-hmm. So now, you know that happened, things start breaking down. The nanny's like, you know, can you just come to talk to her? He said he walked in and she just, I don't know whether it was putting on a show or whatever, but just breaking down crying and I'll do it. Listen, this is, day of the ceremony. Now she's gone back to the hotel room. There was at some hotel or whatever. She wants to speak to him, and now she's saying, I'll do it. But his thing is like, no, because if you sign something under duress, right, that could be thrown out in a court of law.
That's right.
And so it's just brought me to...
that is so true.
Listen, if you sign something under duress in a court of law, she'll be able to fight it and say, I was not in my right state of mind. And a judge will go, you know what, you're right. No, you don't want anybody to sign something under duress. Anyway, if somebody's crying sign something, that's not a good sign. Like, I can see if you want $1 billion, you get drafted to the league or something, and this is different tears from somebody holding a gun to you or making you do something.
Or you think if you don't do it, it's not going to happen.
Right. So
he did the right thing. He did the right thing. I don't think.
Can you imagine that? Especially you're spending that much money on a ceremony to please somebody. He said she wanted all of this stuff. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna give you that. It's your day, and it's supposed to be the day of both people. Yeah. Like, I think the problem in a lot of these scenarios is that women see the marriage as their day. That mostly we've been convinced that the wedding ceremony is for the bride.
Right.
And so a lot of grooms...
I don't agree with that.
Wait. In terms of you don't think society shapes it in that way?
No, I said I do. Agree
I thought you said I don't agree with that.
Nope, that's not what I said.
Okay.
Yep, I agree. I'm guilty of it. It's. I felt like it was my day.
So, but why is that? Why is it that society shapes our perception such that women have now taken control, ownership over, this is my day, everything is for me, and as a groomsman and a potential husband suitor, you're supposed to just show up and kind of go along with and help make arrangements for.
You have every right to voice your opinion on the flowers and the whatever. I think you guys default and say whatever you want. You didn't ask me what flowers, what venue, you didn't ask me to consider anything that you wanted. So unless there are some men that absolutely know what they want, they will join in on that situation.
And be a part of the conversation.
Yeah, but I didn't see you. You didn't say a thing. So.
But I'm asking you about why do you think, not us, I'm asking you about why do you think out in society that's how...
Because of what I said. Generally, the man does not have any input. If you don't have any input, if out of 100%, 70% of the time the men say that to a woman, then society says, hey. Or the woman says, hey, it's my day. He said I could do what I want. I mean, that's just the way it is. The numbers are stacked in our favor because you guys, or I'm going to say the man, really doesn't want to go gown shopping, cake shopping, venue shopping. Nobody wants to do that. Even the women at a certain point.
You said nobody wants to do that.
It's tedious. You have a lot to consider. There's price points. I mean, people write Excel spreadsheets over this thing. It's not easy. My girlfriend had a book like this. You know her boyfriend or whatever at the time said, fiance, you go right ahead. Nobody wants any. I would rather, even if it were me, if I felt like my partner or you really wanted to do it and I really was confident in your taste, I would have let you do it. Because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And then you dragging your girlfriends with you. You're going to this venue. You're going to that venue. It's a lot.
It's a lot of pomp and circumstance.
Yes.
But why do you think the pomp and circumstance becomes so necessary for so many people that they end up spending a great deal of their acquired wealth, their savings, all to put on a show for the public? Why do you think that is? And then I have another question for you after you answer.
I don't have all the answers. I think everybody just wants it to be a special day and you want it to be pretty and whatever. So I think it's just the way it's always been, and I think you would have to be a certain person to break those perceptions or go against the grain per se and just have something simple or whatever. I don't absolutely have the answer for that. I just know what I wanted my day to look like. I just wanted it pretty. You know, you get one day to dress up and have your family there. So anybody would want it just like a beautiful dinner, you know, but it just happens to be a reception.
All right. So is there anything about our wedding day that if we could go back and do it all again, you would have wanted to do differently?
Differently. Oh, yes. I wanted a destination wedding, but because I was pregnant, we could not fly. So I would have had a destination wedding rather than like a hall or whatever. I really wanted all my friends and family to fly and get there and, you know, just have a whole weekend planned. And that was in my head. That's what I want. Ooh, the AC is off and baby, it was hot. Sorry. You know, so that's all. I would have wanted a destination wedding if I could do it all again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that it's really interesting to me that 21 years later into this relationship, I kind of look back on, I don't even know what we spent on our wedding.
I don't think it was much. I don't think we spent over $10,000. And I say that's not much, but maybe that's a lot for people. But we didn't. We remember we kept the guest list under 100. The cake was homemade, but it was beautiful. You couldn't tell. It was a tasty cake. We got this lady down in South Jersey. I don't even know.
Okay.
She's not doing it anymore.
Okay.
But I tasted it at another girlfriend's wedding, and it was like I had to have it. It was a good cake because I remember taking it back to the hotel, and we had it that evening. It was so good. What else was I saying? Oh, I don't think it was over $10,000.
Oh, interesting. And
It was very inexpensive.
wow. The hotel that we stayed at doesn't even exist anymore.
No.
We stayed at the Riga, right?
Yep.
It was one of my favorite hotels in New York City, the Riga Royale.
And it is gone.
And I wonder if it's just under a different
Oh,
name.
it might
The
be.
building's probably still there, just under. We'll have to look that up.
Okay. That was a beautiful night. Woo.
It was a very, it was a beautiful night. Chaz and Wilson's was where it's interesting that we actually got married in New Jersey, because that's where the bulk of April's relationships were. And then we had the reception in New York, so we had quite a few people that had to travel from New Jersey to New York, which was at least a 45 minute to an hour, because we went up Upper West Side to get to Chaz and Wilson's.
Yes.
So if anything, I will say that it's the one thing that I wish we could have did differently was that wedding to after party location.
Yeah, we didn't really have a place to dance, and we
Yeah.
didn't think that.
That was not well set
No,
out
it
at all.
really was
I
not.
just knew that Chaz and Wilson's was a dope spot. I don't even remember. Did we just call and say, hey, we wanna, and got the price, and was that in the budget?
Yeah, that was in the budget.
Oh,
That's what
interesting.
made it maybe about $5 or $6 grand for that.
Yes.
But everything else was inexpensive. That was now that you're saying that, that was the part of the reception that was a little off. It was a very nice place to have some sit down dinner.
Yes.
But we had no formal dancing. There was no DJ. There was no band. It was just
That's crazy.
dinner and go. But I was 7 months pregnant?
Yes, you were very
I was
pregnant.
really big. So I don't know how much partying we could have done, but that doesn't stop our guests from having a good time.
Yeah.
So we needed, I'm not going to say a do-over because I think it was perfect. It's just that I would like to renew my vows on a destination.
Okay, so that's something that I've always gone back and forth about with myself, not even with you. It's like, when you get married, I've always felt strongly that once I got married, that I would only get married once. I would find the one person that I felt like was special enough to me to give my entire life to, and all of this penis. But it's not a whole lot. But it's enough though.
It's enough.
It's enough.
It's
It'll get you there.
It is hot in here.
But I was very clear that I wanted to be patient and wait and find the one person. And so, and that's what I did. And now 21 years later, like I've gone back and forth about renewing your vows and having another ceremony because I felt like the one ceremony we had was the one ceremony. So that's why I've never been a fan of renewing your vows, going back to, okay.
I think everything could just be freshened up. You get your oil change. Like there's things you just have to freshen up. You freshen up a lot of things in your life. And I don't see, for me, I just think it's a nice thing to do to recommit yourself because here's the thing. During the marriage, you go through so many ups and downs. And for you to even get to 25 years, it might be time to say, geez, we've gone through the fire. Let's do this thing again. We're going to ride the next whatever years out. But I'd like to recommit yourself because there are a lot of things that happens in between that are good. Some are bad, and how about for the bad things that you kind of want to make up for, per se, or...
Renewing your vows aren't going to make up for the bad things.
Well, I just think you recommit yourself to somebody. You say, that was the first 20, the next 20, I'm recommitting myself to you. I understand my mistakes, my flaws, or whatever. I'm sorry, or whatever. Or it could just be a joyous occasion. I love you that much. Let's just have our friends and family. Let's take this destination or whatever, however you want. There's no wrong or right way to do it. It's whatever you two decide to, between the two of you, and you do it. But I could see why you say you wouldn't want to. But for me, I just think it's a recommitment of our love. Like in 21
going to get your
years,
license renewed.
yeah,
to make sure.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm not going to hold you, but I do want to hear from you guys in the comments. Let us know by leaving a comment what you think about renewing your wedding vows. If you are married, do you think that is something that you would look into or you would be open to, should I say? If you are considering marriage, would you consider renewing your vows 10 years down the line? Do you think it's something that's important? Leave it in the comments. Make sure you like the post. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you absolutely share this with your friends and family. All right? It's your man, Royale Watkins. This is the girl, Chocolate Girl, Wonder April. And we'll see you on the next installment of...
After I Do podcast.
All right, say goodnight, Florida.
Night.
All right, we out of here, suckers. We'll see you on the next
Bye.
episode.